Children, we are on long answer type of question. Can be asked for 4 marks. That is preparation of acidic buffer. Student, if you know how to prepare acidic buffer, easily you can learn how to prepare basic buffer, because both are opposite and parallel. So pay attention on this very interesting topic. Here we have to study preparation of acidic buffer. We have to study how it is prepared by mixing these two compounds, and this is the best example. And then mechanism. These 3 things are in your course. Mechanism of preparation of acidic and basic buffer. So you have preparation, example and mechanism. Let us start. Acidic buffer, as the name is there, acidic buffer. So it is prepared by mixing. It is prepared by mixing because it is acidic buffer. So remember, by mixing weak acid with its salt and its salt with strong base. Now it will be clear in the example, children. Prepared by mixing what? If it is acidic buffer, weak acid. So acetic acid. This is the weak acid. Acetic acid, let us consider in the example as a weak acid, because it feebly ionizes. And its salt with strong base is your sodium acetate. Sodium acetate is its salt with strong base. Isn't it? Is the preparation and example is clear to you? Then we will study the mechanism. Mechanism can be studied first. We have to study ionization, and then we will check by adding little amount of acid and base. Ready? In ionization, as you have learned, buffer is a solution of ionic compound. So let us see how does it ionize. Now we mix both the things. What are they? This weak acid. You told weak acid as what, student? Acetic acid, and its salt with strong base. Salt with strong base is your sodium acetate. Isn't it? So when we mix it in a solution, how they ionize? Because it is weak acid, so it will ionize weakly ionize. It will feebly ionize into what? It will feebly break into what, children? It will break into acetate ion and hydrogen ion. Believed? Isn't it? And this sodium acetate is salt with strong base, so it will completely ionize. Into what, children? Into acetate ion as well as sodium ion. Now coming on very concluding and interesting part, let us study the mechanism. You told that buffer is a solution of ionic compound which resists certain change in the pH by addition of little amount of acid or base. So let us see, if we add little amount of acid, say HCl, we add a little drop in this solution, then what happens, children? See, very interesting thing. This HCl will dissociate into hydrogen and chloride ion, and this hydrogen will combine with acetate. This hydrogen will combine with the acetate ion, and there will be reversible reaction. Again, a weak acid is formed, and in this way the added hydrogen ion is consumed. Have you understood? Let us see once again. Mechanism we have to see that whether it resists, that it can resist the certain change in pH or not. So for that, what we add? First we add acid. In acid we have taken HCl. HCl में this hydrogen ion will combine with the acetate ion and it will become again weak acid. In this way hydrogen is consumed. Similarly, when we add strong base, say NaOH, it will dissociate into sodium and hydroxyl ion, children. Now what happens? This hydroxyl ion will combine with dissociated hydrogen of this acetic acid and it will form neutral compound called water. OH hydroxyl with hydrogen will form water. This is neutral compound and in this way hydroxyl ion is also consumed, isn't it? So in this way it resists a certain change in the pH by addition of little amount of HCl and acid or base. In base again I am telling you, when we add little amount of base in this solution, so what happens? This sodium hydroxide will dissociate into sodium ion and hydroxyl ion, and the dissociated hydroxyl ion will again combine with hydrogen ion and it will become neutral compound called water, and in this way the hydroxyl ion is also consumed. So this is the mechanism of this buffer, isn't it? Now in the next topic we will study preparation of basic buffer. Hello student, I am happy to tell you now student that we are completing this course of first term of your class 11th Biotech, and the chapter's name was Basic Concept of Biochemical Technology, and we are on the last topic, that is central tendency. Okay student, what do you mean by central tendency? Central tendency means measure of values that identifies set of data. Data means student any information, isn't it? Now if I tell you set of data, the best example, for example, set of data means, for example, number of Jatropha plants grown per hectare land. This is called the set of data, isn't it? Now student, what are Jatropha plants? Jatropha plants are biofuel yielding plants. Its seeds yield biofuels when we process it in the bioreactor, isn't it? So now we can study this central tendency in three ways: mean, median and mode. I will write the definition one by one. I will write the definition. Okay. First, mean. Mean is most popular central tendency, isn't it? It is we can say it is most popular central tendency, and how we define? We define it. It is equal to sum of all the values. It is equal to sum of all the values in the given set, of data. Set of data divided by total number n, isn't it? It is most popular central tendency, mean, and it is equal to the sum of all the values in the given set of data divided by total number. If I want to explain you with equation, so x is equal to x1 plus x2 dash plus xn divided by total number, isn't it? Now how we define median? Median is the middle value in the set of the given data. It is the middle value. Median is the middle value in the in the what student set of the given data, isn't it? Now example will be what? For example, medium of all the odd numbers. Median of all odd numbers, like such as 3, 5, 7, 9, 11 and so on. Okay, this is called median. Is the middle value in the set of given data. Okay, and last but not least, that is mode. Modes are the terms which occurs frequently in the given data. Are the terms which occurs frequently in the given data. Isn't it? So this is all about your central tendency. Children, in this way we complete our first term course of class 11th biotech. Thank you very much. Children, finally we are on the edge of this chapter in biotech class 11th. That is your basic concept of biochemical technology. We have to study standard deviation, standard error and mean, median, mode. So first I will explain you standard deviation. We define it as a measure of spread of scores with a set of, within a set of data or with a set of data. Here data means any recorded information, isn't it? Any recorded information. For example, in standard deviation of population, having the range of the populations of the males between 45 to 65 years, if researchers recruits these males for training exercise training to analyze or investigate risk of heart attack or cholesterol, isn't it? What is the example? For example, in a standard deviation of population having range of 45 to 65 years, researchers recruit males for what? For analyzing or investigating risk of heart attack. During what? Risk of heart attack during exercise. So this is a kind of standard deviation, isn't it? Similarly, here students, standard error means standard error of any statistics is the standard deviation of its sampling deviation. Sampling deviations, in sampling deviation there is standard deviation, and that is called standard error. Equation for this standard error is standard error is the equation is SD by root n, where SD stands for standard deviation and n stands for number of scores. Number of scores, isn't it? So these are two factors, standard deviation and standard error. How we define standard error? Standard error of any statistic is the standard deviation of its sampling deviation. Like this was the sampling. What was the sampling? Researchers may recruit males between the age of 45 to 60 years for analyzing the risk of heart attack during exercise or risk of cholesterol. Student, we are on the last topic of the chapter, that is concept of probability. Probability is taken from the word probable, isn't it? So how we define probability? It is the chances of occurring of events. Chances of occurring of event, because our subject is based on experiments. So we have to study this in last. So how we define probability? Concept is chances of occurring of the events, isn't it? And student, in 19th century, this was called as games of chance and gambling. Concept of probability was called as games of chances and gambling, because our subject is based on experiments and sometimes assumptions. It is a science subject, isn't it? And what is the principle of this? Probability of an event is always number from 0% to 100%. Isn't it? Probability means it is an event which is always a number between 0 to 100%. Now 0% indicates that it won't occur. This event will not occur. And 100% indicate that it will surely occur. This experiment, it will surely occur and the result will be there. Now it is based on two parts, theoretical probability and experimental probability. Student, theoretical probability is completely based on because it is theoretical, so it will be completely based on mathematical calculations. Mathematical calculations of the events. Calculation of occurrence of events, isn't it? While experimental probability is completely based on testing and observation. Experimental probability is based on, because it is experimental, so based on what, student? Testing and observation of events and experiments, isn't it? So this is all about concept of probability. We study the meaning, principle and two types, that is theoretical probability and experimental probability. So concept is what? Chances of occurring of events. It may be from number between 0 to 100. 0 means it won't occur and 100 means this event will surely occur. And theoretical probability is based on mathematical calculations, theoretical, while experimental probability is based on testing and observation of events. So student, in this way we complete third chapter, that is your biochemical technology. And student, very important notice I want to give you. When I leave the board after teaching the lecture, explaining the topic, please take the screenshot of that matter from the board so that it becomes easy for you to write the answers of the assignment. Thank you very much. Morning student. Student, we are starting third chapter of biotechnology in class 11th, that is biochemical technologies, isn't it? Biochemical technology. Before this we have studied two chapters. First was historical background of biotechnology. Second was scope and importance of biotechnology. Now student, we are coming on biochemical technology. In this chapter student, in biochemical technology, it involves large scale production of biotechnological products using certain apparatus, certain chemicals and certain technologies, isn't it? So this apparatus in this chapter biochemical technology, third chapter biochemical technology, this apparatus is called bioreactor. Fortunately, this you are going to study in class 12th bio also, because in class 12th bio you have applications and principles of biotechnology. Applications and principles of biotechnology. So there you will study structure and function of bioreactor. It is also called fermenter, and processing, downstream processing. So first I will explain you one by one all the parts of this bioreactor, isn't it? So let us see. This is student, large scale production. For example, today we produce biofuel or biodiesel with the help of Jatropha seeds, Jatropha plant, and biodiesels are added in today 1/4 biodiesel is used in railway transportation. So first I will explain you this bioreactor. It is also called biofermenter. Student, this is the stainless body, very huge body is there of this bioreactor, and inside we took, biotechnology is the application of the cells. Say these are the microbial cells or cells of plants, and it is grown in broth, nutrient broth. This is nutrient broth. And these cells may be microbial cells or plant cells, isn't it? And then this body is stainless body, and in between we have here fan-like structure. This is called impeller. Student, impeller's function is when it rotates by this motor. When this motor rotates, along with this the impeller also rotates. Function of this impeller, student, is it makes the media, it makes the nutrient broth, nutrient media and cells homogeneous. It makes it homogeneous throughout the fermenter. Homogeneous means same nature of the solution and cells. This is the function of impeller. You see this fan-like structure. It rotates, isn't it? Then third, this motor helps in rotating. And student, this agitation and rotation produces heat in this apparatus. So here we have this green color band you are seeing. Here we have cooling jacket. Through this cooling jacket we put cooling water in. We label here cooling water in, and after circulation of this in the jacket, the cooling water is out. Here, cooling water out. Okay, and for the growth of this culture we require air bubbles. So we have two techniques in this. You see this pipe. This pipe is for sterile air. Sterile air, student. This sterile air moved inside this apparatus. Through this poured base, This is called sparger. Sparger. All the bioreactor do not have sparger, but many have sparger, and so these are the air bubbles. These are the air bubbles coming out through sparger, isn't it? Then here at the top we have pH control unit, that is called pH controller. And this is exhaust. Function of exhaust, as you have whistle in the pressure cooker, the steam, extra steam comes out through this exhaust. And now I am coming on one important structure, very important. You see, student, this structure is called buffel design. Student, buffels function is very important. This is the last but not the least function. Buffels, their turbulence, it turbulates like this. Turbulence produces air bubble here. Produces air bubbles. It always is in motion, and the turbulence produces air bubbles, and this air bubbles, oxygen from this air bubble is diffused inside this broth, and that is used by the growing cultures. So student, and ultimately all the products are harvested from this harvest line in the last. This is the harvest line. From here the accumulated mass of the cells are harvested. This is called harvest line. This is harvest line. From here the cell mass is harvested in last, isn't it? So student, this is asked for the diagrammatic question for 4 marks, isn't it? So this is the first part of your biochemical technique, and this is called bioreactor or biofermenter. Hello children. Children, we are studying a very interesting topic, and fortunately this topic is in your practical course also. And that is, you see, in the last topic we have studied structure and function of the parts of bioreactor, isn't it? Now here we are going to study, bioreactor is also called fermenter, you know. So here we are going to study principle of fermentation. What we are going to study, student? Principle of fermentation. In this we are going to study microbial growth kinetics, and we study different types of suspension cultures here. Very important student for your practical as well as your theory course. Practical of both your 11th as well as 12th. So that is called cell suspension culture, and we study in the topic called fermentation. So there are 3 kinds of cell suspension culture. One is your batch culture, then continuous culture, and fed batch culture, isn't it? So what is the principle behind this? Student, principle behind this is we study the viable growth of the cells. Viable growth of the cells in suitable nutrient broth. So the first one is your batch culture, then continuous culture. So in this first part we are going to study batch culture. In that we will study features and the apparatus of that. In feature, student, first we study the definition. Definition of the batch culture is growth of the microbial cells, या microbes, in a closed system. In a closed system under controlled condition. Under controlled condition. Controlled condition means, student, suitable nutrient, aseptic condition and suitable temperature. So batch culture is growth of the microbes in closed culture. Like we have a conical flask. In this conical flask, we take microbial cells and we add nutrient broth and we close it by means of sterile wool, cotton wool. Isn't it? So this is closed system. This is called closed system. So if the definition of batch culture is clear, that is the growth of the microbe in a closed system under controlled condition. Then the second feature, student, it involves continuous depletion. Depletion means decrease. Depletion of nutrient media. In nutrient media. It has many names: nutrient media, nutrient broth, isn't it? So as the cell grows and grows, the nutrient present in it depletes, it decreases in the number. That is called depletion. Then the next important feature is accumulated mass. Accumulated mass and the waste is harvested in the last of the incubation period. Accumulated mass, or you can say cell mass and waste products and cell mass, they are removed or harvested at the end. Removed or harvested. Actually harvested word is used for cell mass at the end of incubation period, isn't it? And the next, last but not the least, is in this the log phase. Log phase is exponential. Student, what is log phase? You are going to study in the next lecture in a graph, but I am giving you the hint. Log phase means it is the phase when the microbes, they absorb the nutrient medium and grow rapidly. Rapid growth after absorbing the nutrient broth. It grows very rapidly. Exponential means 2 into 4, 8, 16 and so on. So the log phase is very fast, exponential, isn't it? And in the last feature we can write this incubation period involves four phases. Those four phases are: first one is lag phase, then log phase, stationary phase and death phase. Stationary phase and death phase. Children, we are going to study about these four phases in detail in a graph. I will explain you. So here we have studied two things: batch culture definition and these 3-4 features, and this is the apparatus. How we define batch culture? Growth of the microbial culture in a closed system under controlled conditions. And what are those 3 controlled conditions? Suitable media, suitable temperature and aseptic condition. Now in the next topic we are going to study these phases in the form of a graphical representation. Student, we are studying now different phases in batch culture in the form of the graph. Graph showing different phases in batch culture. There are 4 phases. First one lag, then log, then stationary and death phase. 4 phases are there, isn't it? Now we will, one by one I will explain you these 4 phases in the graph. X and Y axis, student. As the microbes grow, this represent growth. This line axis represent growth. As the microbe grows, with respect to the time, there are 4 phases. The first one is here, lag phase, children. Lag phase, isn't it? Then this is log phase. Then this is stationary phase. And last one, here the last phase is death phase. That is here microbial cells, they die. Death phase, we can write here. Death phase. So one by one we will define. Student, lag phase. In lag phase, the microbes, they adopt and adjust in the new environment, such as pH, temperature and nutrient. And this lag phase in the higher organism is also called acclimatization. What they are called? Acclimatization. So how we define lag phase? Please don't do mistakes. Sometimes students do mistake. First they write log phase and then they write lag phase. But remember, like this, A comes first in alphabet, then O comes. So lag phase, what happens, student? What is the definition of lag phase? It involves adaptation and adjustment. Adaptation and adjustment of microbes in new condition or in new environment. And what are the example of environment? Suitable pH, temperature and nutrient media, isn't it? So the lag phase is clear to you. Now the next one is log phase. It involves rapid consumption of media by the microbes. Rapid consumption of the media and exponential growth. Very rapid growth. So what are the 2 keywords here? Rapid consumption and exponential growth. Rapid consumption of the media, isn't it? The next one is stationary phase. Here how we define stationary phase? Growth becomes stable. Stable growth. The growth of the microbe is stable. Stable growth due to depletion of the media. Media will decrease. Nutrient media will become less and less, low and low, and so there will be stable growth due to depletion of media. And the last is death phase. Here there is complete depletion of the media leading to the death of microbe. Complete depletion of media leading to the death or leading to the seizure of all the metabolic activities in the microbes, and that leads to death of the culture, or you can say microbes. Student, all these are the four phases of growth kinetics, you can say, or different phases in batch culture. The first one is lag phase, second log phase, third stationary phase, and fourth one is death phase. And fortunately, children, this topic is important for your practical also. This axis tells you about the growth of the microbe with respect to this axis time, isn't it? So this topic is called the graph showing different phases in batch culture. First one is lag, then log, stationary, and death. Hello children. Children, now we are studying continuous culture. Just opposite to what? Just opposite to your batch culture, isn't it? Batch culture was a culture of the cells, cell culture in a closed system. Now it is just opposite. So we are studying features and this apparatus. This apparatus is called chemostat, isn't it? So the first feature is definition itself. First feature is what, student? Definition itself. How we define continuous culture? It is the growth of the culture in a open system. Growth of culture in open system. There you have seen conical flask was closed. That was closed system in batch culture. But here growth of the culture in open system that maintains cell culture at continuous state. At continuous state. Now you can understand you can think what is continuous state. Continuous state means there is continuous addition of media, isn't it? And there once in the last one batch culture the media was added in beginning. So this is the definition. Clear? What is the definition of continuous culture? Growth of culture in open system that maintains cell culture at continuous state. Now what is the second feature? First feature is definition itself. Now second, third and fourth feature is just opposite of your batch culture. So it will help you to learn differentiate between batch and continuous culture. Second feature, student, it involves continuous inflow or addition, whatever you like, continuous inflow or addition of nutrient media, isn't it? So this is fresh medium. Let us check this point in the diagram itself. Fresh medium. You can write fresh nutrient medium here. This is reservoir. In reservoir, fresh medium is there, and this is the growth flow regulator. This is your growth chamber. Growth chamber means, children, what grows here? The cells. The culture grows here. Growth chamber, and here effluent. Effluent means the waste, and cell mass also you can say. So the second point is continuous inflow or addition of nutrient media, isn't it? Here. And the next point is very interesting. Next point is the accumulated cell mass and waste are harvested at regular interval of time. And in batch culture you have seen accumulated cell mass and waste was harvested at the end of incubation period, isn't it? So here third point will be accumulated cell mass and waste removed or harvested, or we can say harvested here in between or at regular interval of time. Regular interval of time, isn't it? And in the last, very important, last was related to the log phase. Last was related to the log phase. Here log phase is exponential but steady. Log phase is exponential but steady, or steady why? Due to continuous addition of media. Isn't it? Due to continuous addition of the media. So these three features, 1, 2, 3 plus definition, will help you in two ways. Write short note on continuous culture, or how can you differentiate between batch culture with continuous culture. And this apparatus is called chemostat. And student, one important thing I want to inform you in last. After this we study downstream processing, that involves three things. After the biosynthesis of the product removal, we separate the biosynthetic product and we purify. That is called downstream processing. That is called downstream processing is the last step. It has two keywords, separation and purification of the harvested biosynthesized product, isn't it? And the last culture after this is fed batch culture. Fed batch culture is nothing but improvement of batch culture. Fed batch culture definition is asked for 1 mark. Fed batch culture is the improvement of batch culture, previous one. In that we keep on adding we add the what we call nutrient media and culture in beginning, but we keep on harvesting also. That is called fed batch culture. That is the improvement of batch culture. Thank you. Children, very small topic. Definition is asked as I told in the last lecture. Fed batch culture. Only definition you have to learn in 11th class. Okay? But in 12th you have to add limitations also. Limitations of batch that I have written, one line I will explain you. How we define fed batch culture, as I told you earlier, it is improvement of first culture, that is batch culture, in which here I am writing the key statement now, in which culture is continuously fed, with the medium, fed with fresh medium, without harvesting in between. Means the culture is fed with the medium, but it is not harvested. The cell mass are not harvested in between. Fresh medium, but without harvesting. What, student? Without harvesting cell mass in between. Cell mass. So it is improvement of in between. Here the means improvement of batch culture, in which culture is continuously fed with the medium, but without harvesting the cell mass in between. Limitation very simple. during this stationary phase, in this four phases are there: lag, log, stationary and dead. But during, what is the limitation here? During stationary phase, proteolytic enzymes are produced in the fermenter, and that attacks on the, that is harmful for the recombinant protein during the fermentation. This limitation you are going to study in detail in class 12th, but this definition you have to study in class 11th. Hello student, we are coming on very interesting topic of this chapter, that is your biochemical technology student. Concept of buffer and buffering capacity, how we define buffer. Again, this topic is common for your theory as well as practical. How we define buffer student? Buffer is a solution of ionic compound that can resist certain change in its pH value by addition of little amount of acid or base. How we define buffer student? Solution of, very important definition, solution of what? Ionic compound that can resist or that resists what? Certain changes in its pH value. How? When? By absorbing little amount or certain amount or small quantity, little amount of acid or base. You see, we add this principle in the fermenter also to resist certain change in its pH value, because microbial growth, specific microbial growth depends on particular pH. Then buffering capacity, children, ask for again 1 mark. It is the amount of acid or alkali required to produce unit change of pH in the solution. How we define buffering capacity? Amount of acid or base required for what? Required to produce unit change, little change, unit change of what? pH in the solution. This is buffering capacity, amount of acid or base required to produce what? Unit change of pH in a solution. Now the last thing in this topic is you should know types of buffer. According to your course, you should know types of buffer. So we are going to study only 3 buffers: acetate, phosphate and borate. This is the table, remember. In the first column buffer is there, in second column we have to learn the composition, how it is formed. Acetate buffer is formed by acetic acid and sodium acetate. By mixing this, you will study in the preparation of the buffers in detail. Then phosphate buffer is made by mixing disodium hydrogen phosphate with potassium dihydrogen phosphate. Phosphate buffer is made by mixing disodium hydrogen phosphate with potassium dihydrogen phosphate. Student, you have to put effort to learn this, and you have benefit in both theory as well as practical. And borate buffer is made by mixing boric acid with sodium borate, boric acid with sodium borate or borax. And the last column, very interesting, range, pH range you have to learn. I am giving you one technique how to learn. Remember, acetate buffer ranges between pH of 3.7 to 5.6. Now this number where this digit ends 5.6, the next will start for phosphate. Phosphate buffer 5 point, after 5.6 you remember 5.7 to 8, isn't it? But then the last one, borate, is near about 8, that is 7.5 to 9.2. This is the range of ideal buffer. Acetate 3.7 to 5.6, and after this the number starts. For phosphate buffer 5.7 to 8, and then for borate buffer 7.5 to 9.2. So in this we have studied, student, two things, that is concept of buffer and buffering capacity and types of buffer. Acetate buffer made up of acetic acid, sodium acetate, phosphate buffer disodium hydrogen phosphate and potassium dihydrogen phosphate, and borate buffer boric acid and sodium borate. So children, we are studying now preparation of basic buffer. Remember the definition of acidic buffer. In preparation of acidic buffer we have started with weak acid, but this is preparation of basic buffer. So how we define it? It is prepared by mixing basic buffer है तो weak base and its salt with strong acid. Remember when we studied weak, what we call acidic buffer, just opposite of that. For example, ammonium hydroxide is weak base, and we mix this weak base with its salt with strong acid. Children, what is the example and parallel example of this will be ammonium chloride is what? Is it salt with strong acid. Okay. Now next step is ionization. As you remember what we did in preparation of acidic buffer. Ionization में let us ionize this weak base, that is your ammonium hydroxide will feebly ionize. So we will draw reversible. So feebly ionize because it is weak base. So feebly ionize to produce what? Ammonium ion plus hydroxyl ion, and this is strong salt, so it will completely dissociate into ammonium ion plus chloride ion. Children, now let us see in the concluding part the mechanism. When we add little amount of acid, say 1 or 2 drops of HCl, so it will produce hydrogen ion because it is acid, and so this hydrogen ion will combine with hydroxyl ion and will become a neutral compound called water, and so hydrogen ion will be consumed, and so there is no change in the pH. Similarly, when we add strong base, say NaOH, that will produce hydroxyl ion, and children, this hydroxyl ion will combine with this dissociated ammonium ion and will again form this weak base called ammonium hydroxide, and so in this way hydroxyl ion is also consumed and there is no change in pH value, isn't it? Children, we are studying now physical variables. Very again very interesting topic. Physical variables. As you know, students, some physical quantities can be measured by using measurable variables. Not all. Like you can say length, area, and all. But there are some physical quantities which cannot be measured by using certain units or dimensions. So these are called physical variables, and they are of two types: substantial variables and natural variables. So what are physical variables? First we can write some idea, we can give some idea of physical variables. What we can write here? Some physical quantities can be measured by using what, student? By using certain measurable variables. But others but some cannot be measured by using certain measurable variables. They do not require dimensions and units. So there are two types. Substantial, we can differentiate between substantial and natural variables, ask for 2 marks or for 1 marks in compulsory. So they have 2 points, just opposite and parallel. The first point is what, children? Substantial variable expression of the magnitude requires physical standard like mass, for mass, length, time, units are there. For mass kg, for length centimeter, meter, time second. Similarly, therefore these variables have dimensions, symbols and units, isn't it? But on the opposite and parallel side, just opposite for natural variables, here we have written expression of the magnitude requires physical standard. On there, expression of magnitude do not or does not require what? Physical standard. Just opposite. And second, opposite and parallel point. Therefore, these variables have dimensions, symbols and units. These variables do not have. These natural variables do not have or does not have any such dimension, or you can say such symbols and units, isn't it? And very popular example, children. What are the examples? Examples are, you can only experience. Example, specific gravity, isn't it? Then viscosity, specific viscosity, you can say, do not have any unit, dimension or symbol. Then refractive index. These are the example of what, children? These are the example of natural variable. ठीक है, let us recap once. Substantial variable, the magnitude requires physical expression, physical standard, and therefore this variable will have dimension, symbol and unit. Just opposite, expression of magnitude does not require physical standard and does not have any such symbols, units and these dimensions. Example: specific gravity, viscosity, refractive index. And the example of substantial variable: mass, length, time. This requires the unit. Like mass requires unit kg, and here length centimeter and time second. Student, we are on the second last topic of this chapter, that is sampling. What do we mean by sampling? As you know, sampling means collection of elements from what? From the components of sample. Components of sample. Fortunately, this is in your class 11th practical also, sampling. It is in practical as well as theory. So how we define sampling, student? Collection of the elements from the components of the sample. And it can be done or achieved by two methods: quadrant sampling and transect sampling. Quadrant is related to what, student? Quadrant means a structure which is square shaped, isn't it? And transect is related to the line or bed. So here what we do, for example, these are the plant individuals which we are going to consider in biotechnological products. So what we do here in quadrant sampling, in this sampling is done by using quadrant. This is called quadrant, in which number of the individuals are counted per unit area. This quadrant is thrown on this, say these are the plants. In this way it is done. In this, number of the individuals are counted per unit area. Say the per unit area is per square inch, isn't it? So this is called, listen, the question is quadrant sampling and the structure is quadrant. Difference of n is here, isn't it? Similarly, transect sampling. In transect sampling, student, what is there? In this imaginary line, see here, these are the plants which you are going to select for biotechnological work, say tissue culture. Now how will you remove the sample? In this imaginary line is created, like this imaginary line is created, along which careful and systematic observation is done. Individuals are counted very carefully around this imaginary line. So how we define transect sampling? In this sampling, in this imaginary line is created. Imaginary line is, or lines are created, or line is created, and along which, like this, along which careful and systematic observation, careful and children, systematic observation of individual is done. These are the individuals, small plant. And why we take these samples of the plant? Say for tissue culture, or for micropropagation, or for culturing these cells in a large bioreactor. So these are the two method of sampling, quadrant sampling and transect sampling. Now we are going on the last topic, student, and that is concept of probability.